Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another Ready List video. I hope you all had a great day today. There was so many stocks up today. The breadth today was insane. There was almost 500 stocks up on my universe list, as far as up 4% on the day. Looking at the overall breadth, but just there are so many explosive names. Specifically, obviously your semiconductors is the top group. But so many massive moves today. Names I bought yesterday acting so well. Names that I bought this morning acting even better. So there's a lot to go over. I will say it's another day where I'm seeing some nice looking setups. I'm seeing the market following through. We're trending, but we're back above the 10-day on the QQQ. We're still above our 10 and 20. Continuing to try to take positions, not with massive size. I can't really say that because went over some stuff on InnoData today. It took a larger position than I wanted on InnoData, but it worked really well. It was pretty nice, but got a little bit irresponsible, I guess you could say, on InnoData. So I had to cut, more than half of that before the close. That way I'm not going overnight with too big of a position. But I will go over all the names I'm paying attention to. I appreciate everyone that comes to these videos and watches. But yeah, like I said, a huge day for a lot of stocks. So, you might question why I got something like an AAOI on the list right now because of the way it acted today. But I think that this is a very difficult setup, but at the same time, this is a huge spot for this stock to make a higher low, right? You got a nice pivot above its head where it could come back into, possibly, get tight under there, some sort of like a little area as far as like a base. Like I would see, like you make a higher low, you come right back up into it, and you're building higher lows right into a pivot. It would be super interesting, but you gotta blast through this Tuesday's high, in my opinion, or even like the prior day high. Like we need to blast through this area. We don't want to break the lows. If we broke the lows, this name's not interesting to me anymore unless it comes down and possibly undercuts and rallies back through like this level right here, like Friday, May 8th lows. But I mean, I like LITE, I like AAON. These names have been leading. They're top names. They're extremely liquid. They're super high beta. They move really fast. And they have a huge chance to build a higher low, right? So AAOI, I think just through that Tuesday's high would be super interesting, right? We kind of failed through it today, like as resistance, and it was a big level yesterday. So we need to get through that area. It's not been a very good spot for us. LITE, same thing, right? It didn't undercut the lows. It put in a nasty bar today, but can we get an oops reversal and just push right through the Tuesday side? These are ones I'm going to watch for a gap up, right? I don't want to buy just like a shitload of strength in the market. In fact, a lot of these names on my list are going to be watching for weakness, and I can still watch weakness on names like this, like LITE into the 50, AAOI, like I said, coming back down into like that the left side low over here, but like LITE, same optics kind of name. And you had VIAV coming into a support gap today, and in the first 5 minutes of the day, absolutely rocketed right through that gap and gave a beautiful spot to get involved, and it had some sort of like an open equals low candle, which was pretty nice. So yeah, like I said, AOI higher low setup, LITE same thing, just a push through Tuesday's high to establish this as some sort of a higher low from here, or just to watch the 50 or an undercut below this and then rally back through. I really like these names. They're starting to build some sort of like, you get your pivot, you kind of come out of it, and then you're squatting back into it like 2 times. So it's an important level to me, and I would like to see us get some sort of a cheat spot down here for these things, hopefully to turn back up and look even better. But I really like these names. And then we'll flip to a COHR. Your Coherent. This name looks even better, holding the 20-day inside day, sitting right under the pivot, super tight, 2 days tight over the pivot, and I'm definitely looking to get long, pretty much over today's high as well, and I'm looking to get long. You look at a weekly chart, looks fine, and I really like how you kind of break out of the base. Anybody that bought the late breakout, this thing squats right back, stops them out yesterday, holds a 20 inside data, super tight, man. I think this name looks extremely well, and this group's been so strong, and the higher low setups work on this name, especially off the 20 days. So definitely interested in a lot of these names. AAON has a big earnings gap up, goes sideways, puts in a nice inside day today. Another one where you got a potential higher low setup. You get your earnings low, a pivot, and then another pivot. And these are just consecutive higher lows. So can we push through today's high? That would be interesting to me to see if this sort of little flag wants to break out. I think this name looks awesome, and it moves 7% per day. It's pretty liquid as well. Right, it trades $140 million a day, so it's over 100 million. It's nice to me. It's a quicker name, think it could really go if it can push out of today's high. And it held green today, so that was nice, right? The market was up pretty well today, so I'm really focused on a lot of names that acted the same way or acted even better, right? I bought Tesla yesterday and it acted extremely well today. I did not add to it today. I definitely could have through the 200-day, but it's a name I'll just continue to watch, try to add to it on maybe like a higher low or something, but it did just build a super nice higher low now. So can it get back up to the top of this 450 range? Maybe build a base, something that would be super interesting. I would love to get more involved. Amazon was another name I bought yesterday, acted really nice. They could have added to this, but I didn't. I'm choosing not to get too over invested right now, but I like a lot of names and they're setting up in great spots. BE is another name I got today, and this is also on my list going into tomorrow. It's building a base. It undercut and rallied the left low, and it looks great. I missed the undercut and rally yesterday, but I just bought it right back at the prior day high this morning, which I'll mark that so you guys can see. Yeah, so right here, so you kind of get the little 10-minute washout and then you pop right back. So this is where I started to get long, stop at low a day, like risking absolutely nothing, right? 1.8% on a stock that moves almost 9% per day. The risk was so small. I really like this. So and I can't believe I don't know if I added to this one or not, but it is a 10% position. But it had another nice push right through the level again, confirming that strength with a really nice price gain. So that was super interesting. But overall, this name looks great. You flip to a weekly chart, looks completely fine. It's starting to build a base. This is one of the best looking names. It's a leading name. It acted so well today. One of the best acting names. So definitely one to keep on your radar. APLD, this name, super nice push on some really nice volume today. Came into the support gap, found support yesterday, and then just followed through today. Undercut and rallied the 20-day, back through this little pivot. It's still inside the base, right? You flip to a weekly chart, super nice base, comes out of it, kind of starting to squat back into it. And offered a really nice day today. So can it give us an inside day tomorrow? It's a name I just want to watch. Can it fall back in the support gap? I don't think so, but it did establish a big higher low here. So maybe go sideways for a few days, look to break out of the base. We'll see. I definitely want to keep an eye on these names, these Neo Clouds, like your NBIS as well, which I'll throw that up there. Right, NBIS was super weak today. Not my favorite action today when the market's up, but it just telling me that maybe this name continues to need some pullback, right? Falling right into the gap from the earnings gap up would be super important and definitely a spot I'd look for an undercut and rally, or just this super important level over here as a pivot that we gap through. Like, can we pull back to that? Because we haven't quite tested that area yet, or the 20-day, but the 20-day aligns up with pretty much all those levels. So that's definitely, this area is where I'll look to try to get into this name if it can bounce. But I did not really like that action today, but it's a leading stock. It's a part of that Neo Cloud data center group, APLD as well, but this one acted so great today. Cypher is also on the list. This one acted super well, or sorry, this one didn't act as well. Iron, which I'll go over after this, acted pretty well today, given the fact that it's gotten hit pretty hard compared to the rest of the names. But this name very possibly giving us a wick play here. I look at it hourly, it's kind of building a nice little flag, nice wick on the daily. Can it just push right through this pivot, right? If you go to a weekly chart, it was an important pivot in January, kind of came back into it, rejected, squat, tried to break out, and we're squatting right back in the base again. Can we just push through? We built a big higher low. This name definitely could have been buyable yesterday. You got a big support gap here. You undercut the prior day's lows. Like, you could have found a spot there with some super tight risk, but I still think this name looks great. I still think it's just getting started. So definitely this whole group I really want to keep on my list and push out through this pivot, and I would be super interested. But we'll see how it acts. I don't want to just chase a bunch of strength, especially if we're gapping up in the morning or whatever it may be. COHR I talked about. I think the setup looks great. CORZ, same group. This name, it's funny how you look at like an Iron. Yes, it was one of the best acting names today out of this group. Super nice volume. Had the highest volume ever like a week or two ago. And offered a beautiful higher low setup. This was on the list yesterday. It wasn't on the actual ready list, but it was a name that I talked about in my video if you watched. But super nice action right through the prior day's high. So strong today, back above the 20, right? But this name got hit harder than, say, your CORZ, right? But CORZ didn't act as well as Iron did today. So they're all super interesting. I think Iron is still a name to keep on your list, and because this weekly chart looks beautiful, right? It's doing absolutely nothing wrong on the weekly. 2 inside weeks, sitting right under a massive pivot. And I think this name looks really great. A few days of sideways would be nice, or being able to buy this name on a pullback, but it just gave us that pullback buy. I missed it when I was buying some other names. So definitely super interesting. And you look at like a Wolf. Wolf is not as bad. I don't think it looks bad either, but CORZ, I mean, this name is sitting at an all-time high. So it's definitely extremely important compared to like a Wolf, which, Wolf has a lot of overhead supply. If you flip to like a higher time frame or whatever, lots of overhead supply. So I naturally want to lean towards CORZ. I think Iron as well is it's not too far off its all-time high, but it's gotten hit pretty hard. It's It's got, you know, some overhead supply nearby, but I still think this chart looks really good and definitely something I want to keep an eye on. CORZ, like I said, this group looks great. Through Tuesday's high, I'll be paying attention. It did look like it just built a higher low, so I think the weekly chart still looks fine. Maybe continue to build a base here. It does look like it's finally starting to digest and build some sort of a base here. You get your pivot here, another higher, or another pivot, right, which is making a higher low compared to this pivot. Right off the 20, looks great. Continue building out, and I'll be super interested. Circle, I think this name also looks awesome. Puts in an inside day today right off like that 50-day, 3 days tight. Looks great, but it's a Bitcoin-related name, and Bitcoin is acting pretty shitty. Actually, you know, it's finally pushing out above these 3 days tight. So can Circle do the same thing? I think it possibly can. You look at something like an Ethereum, this name's been even more shitty. So it almost looks like a bear flag, but can it just come off these lows, push out of this little like 3 or 4 days tight it's been building? I'd be interested to see that. And it was seeing Bitcoin like, you know, I wouldn't say strong, but starting to rally back through those tight days today. Will be interesting to see if Circle can offer like that higher low setup buy point tomorrow, which to me this looks like a clear higher low, and I think this could be a great spot tomorrow through today's high. So we will definitely see, or even through like the top of this 3-day tightness range would be super interesting, right? GEV, another one where, you know, you flip to a weekly chart, phenomenal. Like this thing looks great. This is a perfect pullback, hold of the 10-week. You know, you come right into the support gap like I talked about. You bounce, you put in 2 inside days. Can we push out through today's high slash this mother bar, or just break out of the flag? It's a super interesting name, and I think the weekly chart looks great. I think even an inside day tomorrow would have me super interested. This name would be getting so tight, but I think it already is getting pretty tight. So we will see what this one can do. It is below its 10 and 20, so it's got a little bit of supply above its head. So who knows? But I just like this name. Like I said, the weekly chart looks great. It's definitely a name I want to continue to keep my eye on with the way it looks. HUT, this is also another data center related name. Your Bitcoin miners, your WGMI type holdings. I think this name also looks awesome. On a washout to the 20-day or back into this low after the earnings day, maybe I'll look to buy something like this, like an undercut and rally of this name would be interesting. It's not acted the best the last 2 days, right? I will say it was nice off the 20-day here for sure, but today it really did not do too much. So definitely want to keep an eye on this name. And it's another one where it's like, it looks like it's finally starting to digest, build a base. It just, you know, shook everybody out of the bottom of the base, and can it push out higher? Definitely something that everybody should keep an eye on. I think this is a great name. InnoData, another one I bought today. I did take a 50% position size in this name earlier. I don't know what I was thinking, right? The trade worked out great, and I'm still holding it, but before the close, I trimmed it down to a 10% position. Had to, you know, splash some water in my face to realize what I was doing. But I just had such high conviction on this name. And the reason I took such big size is because I was risking peanuts. You know, I was risking 2% with a 50% position size. I was risking like, you know, 1.2% of the total portfolio, which, you know, I try not to risk 1% on a trade. I think that's, you know, if you lose 10 trades in a row, you know, you're losing 10% of your account, whatever. But, you know, super high conviction idea. I think the chart looks great, had a massive gap up. And it's just building a super nice high tight flag. Yes, it's over 7 ATRs from its 50-day, but from studying high tight flags, which I talked about in yesterday's video, some names are super extended, and that's just the characteristics of a high tight flag, and they still continue higher, and they still can double from there in a very short period of time. So I really like InnoData. I still have a 10% position in this one, obviously from today, and I think an inside day tomorrow, or just a push out of the flag, maybe I'll add to the position a little bit more. We'll have to see. I don't know if I'll add to this one. I think it's just like, let it work now. I think it looks phenomenal, but if it fails up here, then obviously today's lows, I'll be out of it. But another name, like I said, just looks great. LITE, we talked about. Lunar, another name I want to bring up. You obviously got your Rocket Lab, which looks like it's having an offering in the after hours, and it's down a nice percentage, as you can see. But you know, Rocket Lab, super nice chart. PL's been nice. It was decent today. Nice push out. SATS, I think it is. Is this it? Or SATL? SATL, yeah, this is another aerospace defense. So, you know, super nice, just break of a base, kind of squats back into it inside day, and then just a beautiful breakout, and it's been acting great. Lunar pulls back into the pivot right off the 10-day, inside day, higher low setup, looks great. Can it push above today's high? It's not extended from the 50. And it looks like to me like it's just getting started. You flip to a weekly chart, okay, maybe this could use some digestion, but you know, I really like this little flag it's building. So definitely interesting to me. Microsoft, this is going to go alongside a lot of names. And there is so many names that I have that I'm going to talk about at the very end as quick as I can, that there's a lot of setups. Like there's a lot of inside days. There's a lot of super tight price action in a lot of stocks that I want to talk about. But Microsoft possibly offering a higher low setup through today's high, right? A nice outside bar right off the 10-20 day. Is this a spot where, you know, you get your original low, right? You get a higher low. Is this a second, you know, is this a third higher low? Can this establish a higher low? Can we push out of this base? Definitely super interesting and something I want to keep an eye on. So I will watch over today's high on Microsoft, see how it acts, but it's below the 200. But I really want to pay attention to like some of the greatest companies that even are below the 200 if they're offering setups, because these things can easily just push right back and get above the 200. I mean, we saw what CrowdStrike did, um, and so many other names like Palo Alto, right? These names were just giving some nice setups under their 200 day that were super interesting and ended up working, and you know, 50% since then. So you look at an Affirm, kind of the same thing, right? Nice flat base it's building right under the 200. Can it push through that 200? You got a really nice level. Thursday's high, or pretty much today's high. Like, can we push out of that? That's also the 200 day. They're making it super easy for us, so it's definitely something I'm keeping on. You know, Microsoft I think looks great. NBIS we talked about, and SNDK, the king of the whole market right now. I think this thing looks awesome. You establish a higher low off the 20 day. You put in some sort of a low volume stall candle today, and I'm just assuming we can just push right out of this. You look at a weekly chart, 2 weeks low volume. Shout out Judah for a 2-day low volume setup. But I mean, is there such thing as a 2-week low volume? If there is, I'm seeing it right here, and I think this name looks great, and it is not done yet in my opinion. You just broke out of a base, and you did make a massive move, but you know, where's the high tight flag, right? This is very possibly sort of building some sort of a high tight flag, and this could be sort of a high tight flag as well. But either way, I really like how this is setting up, and it's super tight under Wednesday, May 6th is high, and it looks to me like it wants to push out of that. So you know, you look at an MU, a name I own, but I'm at a very small size position now in this one, so I'm kind of just hoping it blows off at this point. But I don't see too much of a setup on this one. Definitely think it'll go higher. It did build a higher low as well, but SNDK is so tight under that certain level. So definitely interesting. I'm going to go over a few names. I think the RSP looked pretty nice today, right? It had a really nice price gain and some really nice volume, and got back above its 10 and 20. It's building a cup with handle base. Think it looks great. So obviously you look at the top holdings of something like an RSP, you get Intel, SNDK, AMD, all your big stocks, even HUM, which is part of the healthcare that's been acting really well lately, Dell, MU, Datadog, all the names have been monsters recently, right? They've just been cooling off for a week or two, and they're finally just pushing out. So I think this thing looks awesome. You look at XLK, like this looks like it's building a base, right? It's building a small mini base, and same with the QQQ, right? They're building mini bases. I don't think it's done yet, right? To me, this rally does not look over yet, until, like, I don't care about oil. I don't care about anything else that's going on. Focus on the price action. And I mean, even just looking at the XLK, to me, it doesn't look over with. But you look at the number of stocks that were up today compared to what we've seen, there's no excuses anymore. And the amount of setups we've had and the names that have been working in the last 2 or 3 days, right? Things are starting to change. You got to be able to flip on a dime, right? 3 or 4 days ago, I was trying to sit on my hands as best as I could. I took a few longs, like last week into Monday, and nothing worked. But you know, going into Tuesday, you know, I tried a few more setups with super small size, started working. So I'm starting to see one trade working, so I'm flipping to another, and then that one's working, so I'm adding another. So I don't want to leave this video on too long. This is going to be one of my longest videos, but TAN is another one that's been acting super well. Pulls into the 20, nice bounce today. You got your SEDG, FSLR, which super ugly day yesterday, and then I've never seen this before. This is just the most insane price action. So, and then you got FSLR, ENPH, SEDG, right? To me, these names need more sideways, but they're interesting. They're super strong. Keeping an eye on them for sure. IGV, what a day-to-day off the 10-day, super great. UFO, I feel like this one's not talked about enough. Highest volume ever, like every week, in such a strong trend. You got SpaceX about to IPO, and I mean, you got Lunar, Rocket Lab, PL, like all these names have been so explosive, so it doesn't surprise me. Goldman Sachs, monster breakout. Morgan Stanley, monster breakout. FCell alongside BE pulls into the 10-day, super nice hold and a nice volume increase. This name looks great. ATRO, a nice breakout of a base, and I'm pretty sure this is aerospace and defense. So you know, you got so much strength in these groups, right? You see setups, you know, and you see tight risk, take it. We're gonna have to go through some semiconductor names. right? Super nice. This to me looks like a high type flag, and you get a nice inside day today. This should be on the ready list, but who knows? A super nice inside day, can risk off of today's high on a name like this. SIMO. Another one where it's kind of pulled back into it's almost its 20-day inside day today. Not my favorite. These ones are super extended, so I'm not probably going to be taking these. I think Himex, this one is 6.7 ATRs for its 50, so it's over 5, so it's kind of extended, but this to me definitely looks like a high type flag. PENG. Another one that's kind of been going sideways. This one's over 10 ATRs. Not going to take this, but 4 days tight. You build a higher low. You put an inside day today. Can it get any tighter than this? I don't think so. Wolf. Another one that's over 7 ATRs from 50, so it's extended, but nice base or nice flag, right? You got a super nice flag. This is like the first consolidation this thing's seen since it got back above its 50-day, right? Yeah, it had some sort of choppiness here, but made a massive move up. You gapped up on some super big volume, and you're building a nice flag. So I'm seeing a lot of high type flags, right? You look at something like a BB inside day to day, super nice sideways action for the last 2 weeks. I think this name looks great. 5 inside day to day, right under the highest volume ever close. And it kind of peaked out of it today. Microsoft's also in that technology sort of group, obviously, so I think that looked good. Plug is another name where you get an inside day right under the pivot. Not bad. It is below the 20. Can it gap up and push through that pivot? Lumen right off the 20-day, nice inside day. Possibility for a higher low setup. Don't think this looks too bad. ONDS, another one where it's like you flip to a weekly, inside week. Can this thing build a higher low here, push above today's high, and establish a real higher low? You just had the highest volume ever on a massive gap up. Is this name going to lose a 200-day and go to shit, which is very possible? Or is this a spot where it has a nasty flush, puts in an inside day, and then pushes right back, gets back above its 10 and 20? I could see it happening. I could see both of them happening. So definitely something to keep on your radar to just pay attention to. And Affirm, like I talked about, doesn't look too bad. So these are names I'm watching going into the rest of the week. And tomorrow's Thursday. I wish you all the best of luck, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Peace.